Tomorrowland! Guess we'll go left. So, over here we've got Stitch's Great Escape, where, like, it's more just like a stage building, which isn't really surprising. But then, a little stage, which is supposed to be like guns and like an enclosure cell. And next door, it's not finished, but it's like, I thought of like a Tron adventure. Which I just like the idea of being able to like use the queue to teleport you into the computer. Where then like it would be a light cycle battle. And then at the end you'd get teleported into the exit. Which I guess I really didn't play too much of that, which isn't surprising how unfinished it is. Then we've got Monsters Inc. next door, where it's got like the world model, and then where Celia's supposed to be, where she's on break, just because it's easier to do that and be like, huh, that's not a monster. Then you go through the queue, where the ride starts inside on the scare floor, where Roz isn't there, but her famous quote. Then we've got the scare floor, which then leads you past the trash compactor into door storage, where you go through out to the Himalayas, through the Abominable Snowman's cave, to a secondary like scare floor into Boo's room, which has now been, I guess, Celiified. And then back up front. Then we have the Frontierland train station. And then, did I not have a name for this anywhere? Oh. I guess Mission Space doesn't need one. Where, like, we've got, like, supposed to look like you're in a space station. And then, like, teleporting or light speeding through space. Where it's pretty much the main dark ride I have. And where it's supposed to look like we're in outer space, stars-esque shapes, I guess would be the best way to put it. And then another little warp speed back into the station. Where then you have another one of my failed ideas for a ride. I just decided to keep it shell, which is Robinson Industries from Meet the Robinsons. And then next door we have like the bubble thing, also from Meet the Robinsons. So it's the Bubble Restaurant. Then we've got in front of us the Tomorrowland tram and the Astro Orbiters, where the tram just pretty much brings you around to show off Tomorrowland. Then we've got the Carousel of Progress in here. Then Wally's Space Adventure, which is a very dark ride, because it's supposed to be apocalyptic Earth, especially right now, like at the beginning of Wall-E. So, kind of destroyed, trashy. Then we've got like Wall-E and Eve up there after she's found the plant before she's collected. Then to outer space, where I really didn't reference the movie too much, but a few little scenes like the giant trash compactor versions of Wall-E. And the about the captains. The weird, their version of Hal, I guess would be the best way to put it. and then that weird Egypt scene at the end. And then the last ride in traditional Tomorrowland is Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin. Oh no, Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Shooting Range, where because of the whole normal, so it's pretty much, yeah, you're on a moving car and you just want to hit the red blocks. Or it's not exciting, but I'm like, it's kind of a reference to the original. Then we've got Jules Verne Tomorrowland with Journey to the Center of the Earth, and a few others based on Jules Verne. Because I like the idea of referencing traditional Tomorrowland, then also having the steampunk Tomorrowland. So I took the best of both. And then we're back out front. And now in Tomorrowland, where we have a hot air balloon for Around the World in 80 Days, and From the Earth to the Moon, where you need to be in a car for this to work, but you go through and then you get dropped from like high up and then come back out. And then we've got 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea over here, where there's a few little references to it, besides just being underwater, then going under the polar ice caps, to the traditional giant squid scene, and a teeny tiny little hole to represent Volcania. Oh, apparently the ride's broken. At least I know that. And I decided, since Disney's putting in a Star Wars area, why don't I put in a Star Wars area? So, going back over this way. And then, welcome to the Moon of Endor, where we've got the little shield generator area. Then, going up to the top, got like a little Ewok treetop spot where it should be like a meet and greet for different Star Wars characters. And then the only other location I really have so far is supposed to be a giant swamp, so you can visit Yoda in his little house. I'm like, it's more just different, where I'm thinking I'll try expanding it out around steampunk Tomorrowland to over here, where it'll connect up to like the normal Tomorrowland. And then now to finish off Fantasyland, where over here, where normally is the Speedway, I can't think of its name right now, but the Tomorrowland Speedway, I've changed it into look more like you're in the desert, which I made it where it's supposed to be for like a reference to cars. So like it'll have two cars where they're supposed to chase each other, where inside it's not completely done. So like we've got a little bit in here, but then in here it's supposed to be, you'll just drive around, where you'll eventually end up at Radiator Springs, and then you'll just shoot out the back and do like a race through the canyon, where it's definitely with a nicer looking attractions. It actually kind of feels like you're in the desert. Then we'll just end up at the beginning where there's like a grandstand. And the only other thing in Fantasyland is a meet and greet, which originally I had ideas for completely making a ride here, which you might be able to tell this is kind of based on Frozen and the Castle of Arendelle, which originally this was supposed to be a Frozen themed ride, but I scrapped it because I'm like, I was actually gonna make like the North Mountain, and I'm like, no, it doesn't really need it mixed with. I don't think it would be popular enough, so I just decided to make like a princessy meet and greet in the courtyard. And another reason I canceled it because I had an idea for this, and I like making this mountain a lot more, which will be the villains, where they'll have their own themed land, where like it'll be across this giant like chasm where it looks like land no one wants. Like up here we've got the evil queen from Snow White, and then we have like will be like a flat giant open area, which would be like a cauldron from an old volcano, but it'll be buildings and like a small village in here. And then when I get this done, I'll then start working more over here, which would be a giant mountain which will have Dragon Maleficent on it. And then inside will be a ride showing different Disney villains inside, like during famous scenes. So that is all of the Disney park I have for right now, which I'll probably be doing updates in the future. But for now, that's what I have.